Welcome to another exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. My guest today is a licensed clinical social worker, certified sex addiction therapist, and a behavioral expert based in Scottsdale, Arizona. He specializes in men's mental health, helping men heal from shame, disconnect, and perfectionism through experimental, action-based therapy that blends mindfulness, movement, and emotional honesty. Please welcome in Mordy Gottlieb. Mordy, I told you I was going to fuck up your name.
Good morning. Yeah, that's okay. It's really exciting to be here.
Hi. Hey, glad, man. Hey, listen, tell me a little more about yourself, though. Besides all the great stuff, who is Mordy? Tell him.
Morty at the core is a fun, playful, probably a big kid. I was actually in my office yesterday. My sweet mate's daughter came to me. She's like, "What are you doing playing with this like Play-Doh?" I said, "Well, I'm just a kid." She's like, "You're too big to be a kid. How could you be a kid?" And the reality is, I think that as adults, what we forget about is that childlike part in us, that part that's playful and fun, that just wants to have a good time. And we get so caught up in life and making money and relationships. And at the core, we just want to feel safe and just have a good time. So to me, I'm all about having fun, having a good time. And I'm also really passionate about helping people and helping myself feel safe, because so many of us are in the world. We're like, what's going on with me? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And the reality is they probably don't even realize it yet. They're walking around in a body that they don't feel at home in, that they don't feel safe in. So that's my mission. Help people play again and help people feel safe. That's all I want to do.
You know, that's commonly referred to as being a man-child, but that's okay. We know what it really is. We're just enjoying being a big kid at heart. That's all it is, so.
Right. And usually the people that make fun of it are the people that are not aware of it or don't know how to do it. So it's easy to make fun of it.
Exactly, yeah, because I'm a big video game guy, and my ex didn't really understand all that. She's like, "That's all you do is play games." I'm like, "Well, it's my escape from reality. I work all these hours, I do all these things. Like, let me do what I want to do. I enjoy. Like, you may not understand it. I'm not on it all day. Like some of these guys. Like, do you watch these streamer guys? Like, God, I can't even imagine how many hours these dudes put in watching. Those poor guys. Like everybody's like, "Oh, I want to be a streamer." I'm like, really? Do you understand how long these guys spend all day playing these games? Like, some of them just look like they don't sleep at all, and it's hard to watch, And I think people don't think of that as either as an addiction. Like these guys are playing all day, every day. It's like, dude, I don't think I could do it. Honestly, I think I'd go nuts.
And you said such an important point is my partner doesn't have to agree with or understand what I need. But if I tell them this is what I need, and they need to have the capacity to respect that. This is what I need. It's okay. Who cares if I understand?
Is your partner very understanding of all that kind of stuff? When you guys have that conversation, do they give you a hard time about things? Or you seem like the type of person you guys like to bust each other's balls a lot.
How do you know me already? You just met me.
I'm telling you, man, you just have up that vibe like you're going to bust some chops, bro, and it's going to be a good time hanging out with you for sure.
But this is what I always say, and this is important, and I really want to tell you this, Pete, which is there's a big difference between humor and sarcasm. A difference between humor and sarcasm. You know that? You know the difference? How do you define the difference for yourself? Tell me how you see it.
Humor it's funny. Sarcasm, I mean, it depends. Like I have friends that I'm really sarcastic with, but we get it though. It's like we're sarcastic to each other, but we get it. Anybody listening to the outside conversation, a lot of times are just like, okay, they're going at it. We're not. We're just busting each other's chops. To me, like sarcasm's like you're implying things like, you're giving like a smart ass answer to somebody, but they'll see it as, oh, you're being rude. But the other person gets it though, in your social circle, understands that you're just fucking around with them. And when you're making jokes are just tend to be funny. But sometimes people just like, there's people out there, unfortunately, they're not funny. They think they are, but it's like, okay, yeah. Don't quit your day jobs while you're at it too,
Yeah, exactly. You don't have a future in stand-up
Mordy's
comedy.
Morty's trying not to laugh while they're hysterically. Like you can see, look at his face if you're listening to this audio and you're not watching this video, man. He's over here cracking the hell up. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what it's like. I got you.
Yeah, so to me, sarcasm.
So let me ask you this question though, man.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go finish what you're saying. My bad. I cut you off before you even responded.
No, that's okay. It's your show.
What
you can do whatever you want.
Let's go. No, you're right. No, listen, it's rude. You should have, you go ahead and finish what you're saying. You're good, man.
I just want to say this point because I think it's so important. To me, sarcasm is hurtful. Making a joke, and I just say it's just joking, but the other person gets hurt. Whether they should get hurt or not, that's a whole nother conversation, but they do. To me, that's hurtful. And that's something to be mindful of. Just because I want to say something and I think it's funny, if it's hurting somebody else, it doesn't become funny anymore.
Yeah.
That's something we need to be more mindful of. But of course, with friends, say whatever the hell you want because they're not going to take it personal. They know it's
Yeah.
just a joke.
Morty, I think a good phrase for what you're saying is like, my boss always says is to make sure you choose your audience correctly, because some people don't do well with that kind of interaction. You know what I mean? Just like you said, you can make that joke and some people may not find it funny and they find it offensive. And a lot of times, when you meet new people, that's a lot of time what it is, the feeling out process. Like whenever I meet new people, I'm gonna be honest with you, tell people that I'm an asshole, but it's really not the case. It's just I'm from the north and I'm here in Texas. And they just don't get my sense of humor. So, like, I like to bust chops all day with people. And I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, if I really like you, I'll really give you a hard time. It's nothing against you. Like, I'll be first one to apologize to you. I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to offend you. I'm just trying to see what level of joking we can get to because I'm trying to make it fun. When we're at work, we're trying to make the time fly by, man. Like, and you're there from 10 to 6 in the morning. Like, you got to come up creativity with things to do because you're up all night doing whatever. We're a different breed at night. Like people that come in to see me, oh God, dude, all day. We talk sports. Woo boy, don't get me started on the Dallas Cowboys, man. We go at it all day about it. But it's all in good fun though. But it falls in that category of picking your audience.
Here's the good news with the Cowboys. They'll probably win the Super Bowl in the next 50 years.
Oh, stop. Don't give them hope, man. Don't give them hope. They don't need any more hope than they already got. Speaking of the Cowboys though, Morty, real quick, man. Did you see the thing about the kid that killed himself, the 24-year-old kid? That was the craziest story I've ever seen though because like what I don't understand about this, and maybe you can give me your opinion, your thoughts on this, but the girlfriend cited saying that he's had a history of mental health. So my thing is then, if you knew he had mental health issues, you knew he lost his mom, don't you think that would have been a concern to keep an eye on him even more closely though? Because obviously he was really close with his mom. And he was having a session where he had just broken down, they said, in the car, and that was it. They're trying to traffic stop him, and the kid was still driving, okay? So then he got away from the cops somehow, and then unfortunately they found him somewhere down the same stretch of highway he was going on the left side. He had unfortunately shot himself, unfortunately, which is just like, to me, it was just like, if you knew he had a history of mental health issues, he's lost his mom, and you're making that statement, citing that statement. So, but it's like, did you attempt to get him some help? I mean, a lot of questions will come up with that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people like to cite mental health as an issue, but it's like, okay, so what did we do to try to help him though if we knew that was the problem?
Right, exactly. It's easy to say mental health is the issue, but then when you don't do anything about it, that sort of says mental health is not the issue and you don't really take it seriously.
Or you're just citing it to give up a reason? Because if you knew he had a history of issues, what were we doing to help him? Because this guy texted the organization. He texted some other people too, and I didn't get a chance to read the full article. A friend of mine is a huge Cowboys fan. Said that he was texting everybody goodbye, and I was like, "Oh no, that's horrible." I'm surprised the Cowboys, if they knew he had a history of issues, there's somebody in that organization that handles that kind of thing, I would think, if that was the case. So, but that's what the girlfriend says. But it's like, it's interesting for her to say that. And then that's where the next question for me goes is, okay, so what were we doing to give this guy some help? He has all this money coming in. There's no way a therapist wasn't an issue for him to afford. He could get it. Unless she's just citing an issue to give a reason to why it is he had done the actions he did, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I lose you?
I'm
So,
here.
Morty, I did want to ask you though, man. How did you get into sex addiction as a thing, man? It's kind of an interesting topic, honestly. It's been a conversation that's come up lately in the last month or two of recording. I've had two other people on. One guy, I really didn't like him. Had like a salesman type pitch, but the other guy he had on was really great. Joshua and I had a really great conversation. So it's kind of an interesting area to get into.
Yeah, so the good news is I'm not selling you anything except freedom, and that doesn't
Okay,
really cost a
awesome.
lot of
Okay.
money. Sex addiction is, it's one of these problems that a lot of people are struggling with, a lot of people,
Hmm.
and nobody wants to talk about it. I'm not sure why there became so much stigma that men are attracted to naked people because we just are. Like, that's the way it's been forever. That's the way it's been for eternity. And there became so much shame and so much embarrassment just to say that I'm struggling. And it's unfortunate
Yeah.
because the reality is there's so many solutions, there's so many techniques, there's so many ways of recovering. I always tell my clients, just because you're seeing me, there's about 83 ways or 83 things you need to try before you need to feel hopeless. There's really so many, besides for therapy,
Yeah.
there's psychedelics, there's breath work, there's meditation, there's mindfulness, there's religion, there's all sorts of things. And to me, the way that I conceptualize the problem, it's not so much that the people are looking for sex, what they're really feeling is disconnected from other people. They're feeling disconnected from themselves, and they're looking for a connection. They're looking for a way to feel seen. And the way they do that is by paying for it or looking for it on the internet, as opposed to getting vulnerable and actually seeking it out, because that's really risky. Because most men have gotten hurt in their lives or have gotten betrayed. So for them to take a risk and go out on the streets and find somebody in a bar or say hello or go online and try to court somebody is new for them and challenging.
Like the next level weird would be right there is what he was saying. And I told it to the young guy, and he's like, "Really?" He goes, "That's disgusting." I said, "Listen, you never know who the hell is watching it, though. They're not going to admit to watching it ever because everybody would say, 'Oh, no, that's gay,' or this is that, or whatever term you want to use for it. You know, whatever derogatory term they want to use. You know how we as guys like to say that shit to each other. Me, I've had a different experience. My brother is transgender. So I'm very understanding of these things. Like, I'm very open to everybody's sexualities and things that whatever you want to do, do you. I just think that everybody worries about everybody else's fucking problems too much. I think people worry about who's doing what, and all that kind of things. But it's like people like the guy in Instagram or TikTok, what's his fucking name? That Lily Tino person just went around and just started giving a bad name to people that fit in the category of transgender of anything. It's just like they don't let one person distort your vision about all these other people because they're great people. Like they're just people just like the rest of us. You just don't understand what's going on. And if you have questions, just ask. Hell, my brother gave me a whole informational thing about, how he doesn't have a, penis yet because it doesn't fit. Just doesn't think the technology's there. And was I weird? No, hell no. I was curious. All right, cool, man. Tell me about this. I'm interested, because I knew that, I'm trying to be as supportive as possible for him. So, like, I always ask him questions about things, and especially when he started transitioning, he'd laugh at me when I call him by his original name. And he started laughing, like, bro, don't laugh at me, bro. It makes me feel fucking terrible. I'm like, I'm trying to be supportive here, bro. Like, now it's not a problem. Before he thought it was hilarious. I'm like, well, fuck you, dude, because now I feel terrible calling you by the wrong name. It's odd, man. It's understandable. I get it. It's totally cool. And after before that, I'd never had experience in that community, and it was great though. I love it. It's awesome. Listen, let me tell you, if y'all have never been to a drag show, y'all are missing the fuck out, dude. That's a party and a half right there, bro. I have a friend, he does drag, and I went to a show one time. You would never even know it was him, dude. His makeup job was amazing. I was like, God damn. I'm like, all right, okay, all right, cool. All right, it was such a big, and it's so great, because I've always been open-minded to things. And that's the great thing, especially when you're in the mental health field or this area where I'm in this podcast, man, we run into the most interesting conversations. So I do know men's mental health is listed in your profile. So I did want to ask you a question, and maybe you can give me some insight on this. Why is it we as men don't talk about our mental health enough? We're at 80% suicide rate. You would think by now we'd be starting talking about something because we're dying off faster than we can reproduce.
So shame is so powerful and embarrassment is so powerful that people would rather kill themselves.
Yeah, it's
And
sad,
let
isn't
that
it?
sink in. That's such a sad state of affairs where this is going to maybe sound like an extreme. Everybody's struggling with
Mm-hmm.
something. We're all dealing with, even if it's not addiction, stress at work, problems in our relationships, our children,
Yeah.
health. There's so many issues that we're struggling with. And the biggest freedom in the world for a man that I've seen is one dude turning to another dude who just shared something so vulnerable, who just shared something that he thought he was going to take to the grave. And that guy says to him, I get it. I love you anyways. I've done it. Because the biggest fear of most people, but especially men, is if you really knew me, if you really knew the things that I did, if you really knew the dishonesties that I had, the ways that I did different things, then you wouldn't accept me and you would abandon me. And what most people are afraid of at the end of the day is abandonment, is somebody leaving them. And I just met somebody yesterday. They told me that they're in a relationship. Their partner's drunk. He's not available. So I say, so what are you doing there? And I said, right, your fear of leaving, your fear of abandonment is so strong that you're willing to put up with this toxic shit. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, I didn't think of it like that. So this is the challenge, is we're all struggling. When we share, there's the freedom. so to say, it takes one person to be vulnerable. And that's really, when I run groups, that's my job, is how do I get one person to be vulnerable? Because I notice for myself, as soon as I'm vulnerable, it gives permission for other people. They're like, could somebody just give me permission to really say what's going on? Could somebody give me
Exactly.
permission to finally, that I could finally say, I'm not doing fine. I'm not doing okay. I'm not doing great. No. Do you have 5 minutes to hear how shitty my life is? And the only people that have capacity for that are the people that actually are vulnerable, are sharing that, right? Who wants to share something with somebody that's not interested in listening to them, or who's just going to
Exactly.
be nice and just be, oh, I hear, well, that's not a big, and then what a lot of people do is they try to solve your problem. They try to fix it. They try to tell you why it doesn't need to bother you. When the reality is it's so easy. And I see this for myself. Clients come in, I'm like, well, if they just did X, Y, Z, then everything would be great. And it's like, they know that. They wish they could do that. Obviously, there's something getting in the way because my belief is people are doing the best they can with the tools that they have, with the childhood that they had, with the family that they have.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, you just described my marriage I just got out of. Like, I'm not divorced yet, but that's the situation I was in. Exactly what you said that client came and told you is I'm in this relationship, they're not present, and she was a drunk, not to call her out, not, but she was a very bad, she was an ex-pill addict as well and things like that too, and when we got together, it was different. I didn't know she was still using because I didn't know what to look for. When I started this podcast, I could tell you though this much, she still wasn't really supportive. I told her like 3 weeks ago I had thoughts and plans to, commit suicide. Okay. So when I told her this is what her exact response is, and there's a very few people that know this, but her exact response to me was, "Will make me the 13th reason why." And I know exactly what she's, yeah, exactly. The look on your face, I'm telling you, this is literally
Jeez.
what she told me. And ever since then, I spiraled. I was like, I'm done. At that point, that was the moment where I was like, you know what, I'm done. She's like, what else did you want me to say? I wanted you to have some fucking compassion, honestly. Act like you gave a fuck for 2 minutes. Because to me, it's like for you to tell somebody that, her logic was, well, I figured I'd scare you. How's that gonna scare me by you telling me to go ahead and go with it? I don't understand. Well, it worked with somebody else. That doesn't work for everybody. You can't do those kind of things. And then she's like, "Oh, well, I don't understand why you're so mad. You know exactly what you're gonna get." Like she had honesty, but when we got to that conversation, I think that, it's like, and she knew how to be loving because she did it too. Like when I told her I wanted a divorce, and all of a sudden she wanted to be all lovey dovey with me. And she'd always make excuses on things why she couldn't, and it was like trying to manipulate me a little bit. And I'm just like, no, I don't think so. I'm done. When I told you I'm done, I don't know if you've ever looked into astrology, but my Aries moon came through strong that day. Let me tell you. She's like, we had this conversation, then she mentions, oh, well, I don't want to cheat on you. Okay, so to me, that says either you've thought about it or you've done it. One of two things. And I've been cheated on before by my ex. It's like, if you don't want to be here, just let me know. You can go your own separate way. That's fine with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the type of person, like, if you don't want to be here, let's just get you to a place. Like, I'm that type of person. Even though you shit on me all this time, I still want to make sure, that, you get somewhere safe because I'm a human at the end of the day, but when she said that to me, that was it. I switched off instantly. I was like, and then when I told somebody that she said this, the same look you had was the same look they all gave me. Like, really? I said, yeah, that's what she told me. And I was like, how are you going to tell me you love me, but then you're going to tell me that I should go through it. I should go through it and think that's going to scare me not to do it. I was like, I came to you and talked to you about it. And she said, well, the reason it came up is we had a heated argument about something else. And then it came up because I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to lay it all on the table. And she's like, you always pick whenever we have an argument to say something because it's hard to talk to somebody about it because you don't know what somebody's going to fucking say to you. Like, and things like that too. And then after that, she started acting weird. She's like, well, I'm going to call 98 and tell them that you're threatening to shoot yourself or so. I'm like, it was like ever since then, it was just like I was done because like I felt like that client too. Like just verbally abusive to you. And then it's like I'm a fear of abandonment is what it was. Like I'm afraid to leave. And it's like now it's like I luckily have had a good support system though. My other friends that podcast that are, I've been talking to them about this stuff in secrecy. So this is only the first time on this show I've actually mentioned the full story of what happened. I was on another show looking through the glass and we had a full conversation about that. I said, fucking ladies, I'm just going to tell you about it. And it felt so good to get it out there because that thought was rattling around my head, of like, she just said 13 reason why. And I've seen that show. For everybody who hadn't seen the original one before they changed it, Y'all missed out on that how real that shit got. The end of that episode, the last episode of the original series before they changed the ending was so graphic that I could see why they had to change it because it was that intense. Like you're watching this girl commit the act of suicide. She's doing it right there. You're watching her. Like I'm telling you, could see her cutting the wrist, and it's just like your skin's crawling and everything, and you're just like, holy shit. Like, how are we getting away with this on TV these days? So that's why they had to change it. For anybody who hadn't seen that original show, when the original ending had been there before they changed it, and like it tells you beforehand before watching this, if you have any like certain issues and things, please do not watch this. This is really intense, But I can relate to that completely, though. It's a lot, I know.
So there's so much to say. I've heard this 1,000 times before. People struggle with being able to give compassion.
Yeah.
People struggle with being able to give empathy. And the reason why they struggle with it is because they're unable to give it to themselves. And one of the challenges we have as men, is it okay if I say something provocative?
Go ahead. No, this is a free space here, man.
We're going to.
We have free conversation here to say whatever we
Good.
like. That's the great thing about this show.
This is something I've been thinking a lot about personally, talking to a lot of my clients about, and really noticing is that women want us to provide. As the men, we're the provider, but they don't want us to lead. They want us to provide, but they don't allow us to lead. And one of the things we do as men is we get into relationships and we're always the nice guy. We don't make them feel uncomfortable. We never want to let them know that we're upset. We never want to let them know our preferences. So what we do is we start teaching them and molding them. What you need matters more than what I need. We do that for days. We do that for weeks. Like I had a client the other week. He's 10 years married. He said to his wife, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I work from home. I watch the kid. Wednesdays, I would like a couple hours to myself. I think the wife now regrets that she told him to see me because that was my suggestion. But be it as it may. And he got a tremendous amount of pushback. What do you mean? What do you this? What do you mean you need something? But the thing is, for 10 years, he told her, I don't matter. You could just step on me. I'm just going to be your rock. I'm going to support you financially. I'm going to support you emotionally. But what I need, nope, doesn't make a difference. And what happens is it takes a toll over time. I had a guy last night I was sitting with, a friend of mine. Same thing in a relationship. He gives in. I'm the nice guy. I'm the nice guy. I'm the nice guy. And at a certain point, they explode. And I think the reason why we do that is because we're so afraid about somebody leaving us. Like, I don't want to tell them that I'm upset at them or I don't like that, because what happens if they don't like that and then they leave me? And really the goal, it's a balance. How do I learn to take risks, but not really take on the outcome? The reality is it's unfortunate. And I tell this to all my people, you will get hurt again. There's no way, if you're going to try to be in the world and try to talk to people and have relationships with people, you will get abandoned. Somebody will say something not nice about you. Someone will gossip about you. That's the unfortunate reality of life. And to me, the way that I see it, and if you never experienced it, might be too risky at the beginning. But when we find those people that are nurturing, that care about us, that support us unconditionally, then for me at least, all the pain, all the other relationships that I got so much shit for and were unsafe, it's really made up for it. Because those conversations I have with people where I could just be myself, where I know that I could say anything and still be loved, it just makes the world a better place. It makes everything worthwhile just knowing that. Because, and I'll just end off with this piece, we get hurt in relationships, so we heal in relationships. We get hurt in relationships, so we heal in relationships. So there is something that we need as human beings, especially if we were hurt. We do need other people. And that's going to bring our healing to us. And how do we take safe enough risks to find those people that are truly safe and can nurture us?
Do you have any suggestions on that point of like any kind of tips maybe to help out some of the guy, anybody that's listening, guys especially listening, like, I mean, because either way you think about it, every time you enter into a relationship, there's always a risk of someone leaving, if you think about it. You don't know what the other person's going to do. It happened to me. Like my ex just picked up and left everything and took all the kids and left. I came home to an empty house. She took my car, took my money, all that shit. And then this time around, it was I got asked to leave, so I left. And then she called the cops and tried to make it seem like I was doing something wrong when all I was doing was peaceful leaving. I'm like, okay. And then she, then it turned in, she was trying to get me to say something reactive, like, is in my past, I've had a real bad temper issue. So she tried to get in my face and things, you know what I mean? Like that, try and bait me into do something, and that way I do something, or tell it, push her out of the way, till I get out of the way. And so I wouldn't give in though this time. I was like, fuck it, I'm done. Like I was mentally preparing myself for what the next thing was when I left, because I knew that, when I leave, it's gonna be a struggle. It ain't gonna be easy because she's gonna make it hard, and I prepared myself for that. And I was very proud of myself because I didn't give in. I just said, go tell it to somebody else. I don't want to hear it. I'm getting all my stuff. That's all I'm doing, packing all my stuff, and I'm going. This clearly isn't gonna work out. Because she was trying to play that whole thing of, oh, well, we could say we stay and live together. And like, no, because she purposely do things to try and upset me. Like, have these like conversations I could hear that, like, would just get me irritated. I'm like, I don't want to hear all that shit. Like, if I got to be in the same house as you, I don't want to hear your filthy conversations you're having with your friends about how, these things you used to do and all this other crazy. It's like, I don't want to hear all that. Like, why do I want to listen to that? But I knew what she was doing though. She's trying to get me upset. And then when I brought the conversation, of course, I'm the problem. It's like, oh, you're the issue. You're making all the problems. Like, okay, I see how this is going to play out. Okay, I got you. So I stopped talking to her about anything because I was like, you know what? I see what you're doing. You're trying to weaponize anything I say against me. So, okay, cool. I got you. So then I started slowly packing my stuff. And then she realized when I was leaving sooner than later, because I'm like, I just can't do this, man. Like every day I come home, my anxiety level shoots to the roof because I don't know what you're going to say or what you're going to do or how much you're going to drink, because then you're going to go off the rails and become another person, especially whiskey. There's a couple times I made that mistake one time of drinking whiskey. Never again was that happening, because we almost got into a fist fight because she was just got so aggressively angry for no reason. And she was just like, and it was just like she thought this is normal, but I knew some of her past. She's had a rough childhood, but at the same time, she doesn't want to do anything about the problems. She doesn't want to talk to anybody because it's a hard therapy to go through when you got to deal with relive a lot of those things she went through. Hats off to you, man. It's hard. I mean, I admit I could agree that it's hard, but at the same time, you're self-destructing and you don't want to do anything to fix these problems.
You touch on a very deep issue. It's systemic and it's unfortunate, is that us as men always get blamed.
Mm-hmm.
Man and woman come in, must be that the man is wrong and the woman is
Mm-hmm.
right. In working with men, I get to see the other side. I get to see the vulnerability of men. I get to see the tears. I get to see the sadness, the tenderness, the fear, the loss. Oh, they don't care about their children. And it's like, no, they care deeply about their
Mm-hmm.
children. They care deeply about their family. Oh, they just want to go and party. No, no, no. They're working 60 hours a week and Friday nights go out with their friends. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. And they care deeply about their family. And the hardest thing to do is the best thing to do,
Yeah.
which is, how do we learn and practice to stay present? Because what ends up happening is we get overwhelmed, we get agitated, and then we say the wrong thing. And it gets used against us. We say in a text message something that's used against us. My policy would be no texting,
Yeah.
especially when you're having fights with your partner. There is no context. I rarely text with my friends because there's no context. There's no way for people to pick up the nuance. Even my best friends. He sent me a song the other day that he made, and I didn't like it. It was not good. I wasn't going to go text him, hey, I didn't really like it. When I got on the phone with him, I said, hey, bud, that song sucked. But it landed differently because I was on the phone with him. He heard my tone. He knows who I am. When you
Yeah.
send a text, it's just cold. There's no context. And we're so afraid of communication that we avoid communication by texting. And in reality, what we're doing is we're disrupting the relationship. We're disrupting ourselves the whole day. Am I getting a text? Am I not? Look,
Yeah. Yeah.
send. I'm in the middle of things. What are we doing? Let's have a 5-minute conversation instead of having a 45-minute texting back and forth where there's miscommunications. Yet the challenge is we get so overwhelmed and we get triggered so easily. Triggered so easily. We're feeling okay. Our partner says something. We haven't done our own work. And all of a sudden I'm acting. Not only am I feeling like I'm 7, I'm starting to act like I'm 7. I'm starting to I'm starting to taunt or say hurtful comments. That's a 7-year-old what they do. They say, oh, you're stupid. As adults, we're not supposed to do that unless we're friends, and
Yeah.
then we could banter like that.
Yeah.
How do
Definitely.
we help men? And the challenge is people need to do their own work because mental health is a commitment to reality at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think a lot of people are struggling with. They don't want to accept the reality. They'll be in a relationship that sucks and they want to tell themselves, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's going to get better. I say, but it hasn't gotten better for 20 years. Maybe it will get better. Oh, maybe it's going to get better 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. I'm like, oh, maybe it's not going to get better. How do we learn
Bingo.
to commit to reality that if something has a track record, it's probably not going to change? There's a fantasy. Well, what if it changes? What if it would have changed? And one more piece on this, which is so important, is that the reason why if somebody's in a relationship a long time, they don't want to leave, especially if it was challenging, is because then they need to accept that those 20 years were wasted or weren't what they expected it to be. So they're like, I wasted 20 years, but if I could get it to work finally, then that'll make it all worth it. That'll be, okay, I know the 20 years were hard, but at least I had the last 20 years of our life that was worth it. So sometimes you got to cut your losses. But again, you're cutting your losses in something that's so painful because our biggest fear is fear of loss, fear of abandonment, that it makes it so challenging. And to me, the solution is finding a group of men or finding a group of people that could support you, that could be there for you in a way that probably no one else has, in a way that your mother hasn't, your father hasn't, your wife hasn't. Somebody that you could say to them, you know, I've done this. And they say, that's okay. I love you anyways. I've done that. I've done this. These are my secrets. This is my laundry list of reasons why I think people wouldn't love me or people wouldn't accept me. And we have other people that remind us you're okay no matter what you did. Even if I can't get that at home, even if I can't get that at work, at least I have a safe place to get that. And that's why people go to therapy. That's why people go to coaching, because it's an opportunity for them to be seen and heard and accepted for who they are without having to act or without having to put on a show.
No, I agree. It's like I finally just had enough. I've been talking about it for a little bit, and like when she told me that comment, like I said, that was it. I was done. I was like, you know what? I'm done. There's so many things I want to do that she just doesn't agree. And when I started this podcast, she didn't like the idea because she's like, I don't like you talking to random people. Like she had that fear, like I'm just gonna meet somebody randomly just because I'm interviewing people for a show, you know. And it was a constant criticization in the background about it and everything like that. You know, the only things I could take away that she did say that made sense was be authentic about the whole thing. You know, be real about it, because this is a space you have to be careful in. That if you come off as fake, people are going to get real upset and be like, well, you know, and things like that. Which, you know, was the only thing she really added value to the conversation. But she was always constantly like yo-yoing, like, oh well. Oh, I want to support you. Oh, now I don't want to support you. It's like, okay, cool. You don't support me. That's cool. Don't support me then. I'm going to do what I want to do at this point. And in the beginning, she told me don't do this podcast. But ever since I've done it, I get emails. I like this past few months, I've gotten like 20, 30 emails of people just saying, hey, listen, I heard this episode you did with somebody. You know, I even got an interesting one from music. Did you say your buddy? I got one from a gentleman named Joseph. He sent me a message, said that him and this 12-year-old young lady were working on this song who unfortunately lost her life to suicide. And it was, I think it's called Weird Shit is what the song's called, remember right? I looked at it. He's going to be a guest on the show. I invited him to come. But, you know, it was like, he's like, I appreciate your attention to suicide awareness. Because in the month for Suicide Awareness Month, I actually did a series of videos where we brought some people in and we talked about just that topic. One woman was a woman named Reshna Cardney. She came in and had explained to her 2 children that dad had shot himself. But it's like, how do you tell these kids? But the way she told them, it made sense. But, you know, it's like, I'm doing something here. It's making a difference to people. I'm having the conversation, you know. Why stop what I'm doing because you don't like what I'm doing? Like, I'm making a difference for some people. Like, you know, and these emails aren't lying. These people are coming out to me saying, listen, I heard this episode. I heard that. I got invited to a media panel. I was on a media panel where people in this panel were way more respected than I was. And it was an honor to be with half these people. There's a Golden Globe winner that was sitting here introducing all of us on the panel. Like, I'm sitting here staring at this woman's Golden Globe. She's talking to me, and I'm just like, oh, my God, is she really talking to me? I look up her background. She's booked for CNN, Oprah Winfrey, all these other big names, you know. But it was so interesting because if I never started this podcast, I would never been in here. I've had more top hosts of podcasts in the 1% to 5% range on this show than most people have. My name is known by more people than my friend who has 90,000 followers on YouTube. She said that, Pete, did you know your show comes up more than anybody else? So obviously I'm doing something at this point, you know, having these very real conversations. I've got to host 2 of the top 5 guests I wanted, one being the world-renowned expert of BPD, Dr. Jen Bellinger, came on. And I didn't, if had I not done this, I would never had a chance to meet her either. And then the other one was a guy who runs a podcast. Come on, man. He's a men's relationship coach. I've been watching him since he started on TikTok. He was like in the early stages of this thing, and I always asked him questions and things, and he always responded to me too. And then when he was booked for the show, he was like, "Hey, listen, I realized that you follow me." I'm like, "Paul, I've been full understand. I can come to him and tell him the most fucked up thoughts I have, and I've got three of them down there talking to me about it. Like, hey, listen, man, it's okay. They've been through this whole thing with me, like the whole." Process of me getting kicked out of my house and things like that, and having to relocate. And they're the ones that have been like backing me up, like, Pete, you got to do this, man. You got to do this. This is the time. What more signs you need? And like, one of them, he's really blunt about it, but I mean, it was what I needed to hear, like I needed somebody like, yo, what else do you need to be fucking told at this point, dude? Let's go. Come on, and everything like that, and it's been great, and I mean, my relationships with people have changed too. Like people hear this show and see what I'm doing. And my parents even came to me and said, that we see that you're doing something different and we're so proud of you, what you're doing, in this podcast and it's going somewhere. Cause they always ask, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, I'm booked out to February, of next year, and when I did the show originally in November, I was out to July of this year. And people are like, are you out to Joe? And that's just, mind you, that's just one day a week. That was Mondays. I opened my schedule in the beginning of the year. I was like, fuck it, let's open this conversation more. And the conversations I've had in the first season of 200 episodes of just the shit that's going on in this show, we've had people talk about how they were going to kill themselves the same morning in that show. And you would have thought people thought Godzilla was crushing Tokyo at that point. They were freaking the hell out because people aren't ready for these kind of conversations. But, when you get into the mental health space, you're going to meet a lot of interesting people that are going to tell you some wild stories of shit that you're not ready to hear sometimes, and that was one of them. When the guy was like, oh, well, I was sitting at the edge of the bed. I had the gun in my hand. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, my God, this guy is talking about he was trying to kill himself this morning. Hang in. Just keep it calm. Stay cool. Like I'm talking myself down from freaking out on the camera because I'm just trying to stay real calm because, like, what are you going to say to somebody? It's like, you got to listen to what he's saying, man. It's hard, and I think that's the problem is that, with this show, we have a complete open space and like people can come here and tell me anything you want. And I'm very understanding because I understand when I got into this space, the things I'm going to get into, God even knows. And had I told you with the conversations I would have had from the day I started it to where I'm now, hold up, man. I would even believe you have to wait through. Like I've had a global bestseller on here, 2-time international bestsellers, all these things like this. If I would have told you I had to meet all these interesting people along the way, I would have been like, yeah, okay, whatever, And the thing is, it's just like I enjoy it every day, man. This is so much fun. I love meeting new people, and things like that too. But if I listened to her, I would have never done it. But you're 100% correct, though. You need those support systems in place. Find those friends you can reach out to that you can call and tell them anything at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, man, I'm having these thoughts. And they'll stop and listen. Wait, hold up. Listen, talk to me. What's wrong? That's what you want to hear. And then, to the other extent, too, is like Morty could probably agree with this right here. What I'm about to say next is that listen. They don't need you to solve their fucking problem. They need you to listen to what they're going to say. Now, is it going to be rough? It may be rough. Listen, understand when people start talking about suicide and all these other things that they're coming to tell you something. Be glad they're talking to you because we as men, we don't talk enough. Okay? We are dying at an alarming rate to the suicide because we don't open our fucking mouths. We can talk all the shit in the world, but when it comes to our mental health, we are just scared to say something because society doesn't allow us to. You could reach out to me. You could reach out to Morty. We'll listen to you 100%. I've had people come tell me they thought about killing themselves on TikTok and all these other. I say, well, hold up. Tell me what the situation is. I get them talking to me. Listen, tell me what it is. And they feel a lot better by the time it's over. So, sorry, rant's over.
So
But, Morty's over like, go,
that's
go,
good.
go.
Well, a few things. The reason
Go
why
ahead.
people resonate, the reason why people with you on this podcast is because it's exactly what they don't have, which is real, authentic conversations. This is who I am, warts and all. My life is not perfect. Just because I have a podcast doesn't mean I have pristine relationships, doesn't mean I have pristine emotional health, doesn't mean I have a pristine job, doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. And that's what people really need. They need permission not to be perfect, permission to be themselves. And be yourself is messy.
Mm-hmm.
And two other points, which is there's a kid's book and it goes, talk. How does it go? Talk so your kids will listen and listen so your kids will talk. And for me, that it's the key point. And I'm talking to I'm doing a website now. I'm talking to my branding team. We might do it. Talk so people will listen and listen so people will talk.
Hmm.
because that's the other piece. So many times people are talking to somebody and they see the other person's not even listening. They're looking at their phone. They're distracted. Nothing more rude than looking at your phone while you're talking to somebody.
Exactly.
Side point. But I want to tell you something. Suicide is a person saying, I feel so unsafe in my body. I cannot be here. That the safest thing I know how to do, as hard as it is to believe, the person is saying the safest thing I know how to do is not to be in my body anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people do when they live. They disassociate, they disconnect. And at the extreme form, it looks like suicide. And something else that's also not as bad as suicide, but something that's really up there is living death, which is living a life, but you're stuck in shame. Living a life that you're stuck in anxiety. Living a life where you don't feel fulfilled in your relationships. And to me, there's something uniquely painful about that, where you know that this is not enough. You know that you want more. You don't believe that more is possible. You feel hopeless. You feel helpless. You feel like this is the best that I could do. And the reality is, no matter what's going on externally in our lives, not always do we have the capacity to change it. It's not always possible, although we may want to. One thing that no one can have control of us ever is our mindset, is our attitude, is our perspective. If I walk outside and I look up at the mountains and I just take a deep exhale, okay, I feel okay again. In that moment, nothing else matters. If we would learn how to play again, if you learn how to color, if you learn how to run around with friends, go on the swings at a park, your problems wouldn't bother you in those moments. Because to play, if you would play a board game, if you would play a video game, if you would go do hopscotch, if you would go do jump rope, if you would just go read a joke book, there's so many things to do that are playful. And what play forces you to do is be in the moment. And when in the moment, we feel safe because in this moment, not for everybody, but most of us are safe. And if you're not safe, call 911, go to the ER, get the support that you need. But most of us, even though we feel unsafe, we actually are safe. And if we do things that are fun, we'll start experiencing joy again. We'll start experiencing living in the present moment without sitting on my feet and doing a mindfulness meditation, which is awesome and really challenging for most people. And then they blame themselves that they can't do it, which is a whole nother thing.
Right.
Get out a pencil and start coloring, start doodling. Your life literally will change just by doing that. So to me, the beautiful thing about you is just your honesty. Me as a guest to feel able to be myself, to
Right.
take risks. So I'm like, oh, this guy's taking a risk. That's what everybody needs. Permission to be themselves. That's my tagline is permission to play. And what you're
Exactly.
doing for people is permission to be themselves. And that's the biggest gift we could give people. Because most people feel like I got to be somebody else. I got to live
Hmm.
up to somebody else's standards. And you're saying, no, that's not what we do. We do you. And that's
Exactly.
amazing. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for those kind words. As we start getting ready to wrap up, I do ask my guests 2 questions, okay? So the first one's kind of a fun one, and I'm very interested to hear your response, okay? So the question to you is that if your mental health had a song, what would that song be? Look at he's thinking of their heart about this one too.
It's first, the question is awesome because I just want to, so many times clients come into session, they don't even have the words. I say, put on a song that tells me how you're doing today. So
Exactly.
music is so powerful, and sometimes there are no words. The songs have evolved, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people. You know, there were times in my life that, you know, the suicide song from Logic,
Mm-hmm.
1-800, the suicide hotline number, that song has resonated for me where the song talks about how somebody doesn't want to live anymore, how somebody's life has gotten so miserable. But then it also gives the hope at the end.
Yeah.
But there's somebody saying, I don't want you to die. I want you to be alive. And reminding myself that even in those moments when I feel so alone and isolated, and I feel like there's nobody there for me, there's somebody out there, most probably. Some people may have nobody. And then it's really about finding people that care about them enough. And also the fact that they can impact people by just being themselves. Reminding myself that there's somebody out there that still needs me. There's somebody out there that does want me to live. But maybe they may not be alive anymore. Maybe somebody passed. But was there anybody in my life that ever believed in me? A mentor, a teacher, a friend, and really leaning into that and really starting from there. Even if 99% of me feels like it has no worth. We call it the Nakuda Taiva, which means can I just find the one piece in me, the one small point that's positive, that's love, and allow it to outgo from that. So that would be my song, Logic, the suicide song.
I love it. Yeah. Listen, it's a great question. I actually got it from a friend of mine. She runs a podcast called The Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. When we interviewed, that was her question to me. And I did it the same way, but I broke mine down in several different ways, it just kinda depends on the day, how I'm feeling, Because it was like I had, like, broke it down to 2 different ways, like, like, when days my anxiety are bad, it would be like a punk rock song, really fast pace, that real quick of hard now when I'm feeling depressed, it would be like Stained or Cold, somewhere in that range, like Epiphany is just being honest with a lot of you. I just don't wanna hear all that because 'cause I'm like, "I already feel like shit, I don't need you to make me feel like more shit while you saying, 'Oh, I feel so sorry for you.'" It I appreciate it, but it's nothing against you. It's just the way I feel about it. But okay, so the next question, and the reason this podcast exists is this question is very important. If you could break the stigma about mental health, what would you say it would be like? And it could be anything that you see people post on a daily basis. You're just looking and go, God, can you all just stop believing this crap?
Could you ask the question again? I didn't understand it.
Okay, so the question to you is if you could break the stigma about mental health, okay? So when I say that, I mean like things that people say that are not really real. That people you like it could be anything. Like these internet posts where people start posting crazy shit all day and you're just watching it going, "What the fuck are you talking about? This is not right." No. What thing comes to mind when I ask you that?
We have to stop forgiving people. And what I mean by that is a woman got raped, and I heard her talk about how it was her fault because she was wearing the wrong outfit. And then it's talking about forgiving the person that did that. So many times we talk about, oh, just forgive them. Oh, just forgive them. And forgiveness is a great thing. And I support doing it, but not if you're blaming yourself.
Exactly.
If I was a child and my parent hurt me and I blame myself for doing it, well, if I would have been better at school, I wouldn't have gotten hit. And then we say, oh, go forgive your parents. But I don't blame them. I'm blaming myself. So to me, I don't want to hear anything about forgiveness. I want to hear about blame in the sense of I'm not blaming myself. This is their issue. This is their wounding. This is their hurt. To me, that would be my message. More blaming, less forgiveness. There's a saying from my favorite author, Pete Walker. One of the subtitles of his book, I don't know if it's called subtitles or subheadings, is harvesting forgiveness out of blame. I put the problem onto them and then I could forgive. So that would be my stigma
Absolutely love
buster.
it. Well, Morty, thank you so much for being here today, man. I appreciate it. I had a fucking blast hanging out with you, man. I really did. You want to let everybody know where they can find you? Where do you prefer everybody check you out? I mean, you can tell them you got a YouTube page, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you think they should go find you.
So I'm a new guy. I'm just getting on social media. I've been hiding for a long time. And finally, I'm going to give my gifts to the world. For right now, you can find me on my website. It's thegamechangergroup.com,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure will be in the show notes. You can
Definitely.
Google my name. I come right up. There are a lot of cute videos about me, funny things. If you have a question, you want to get a chat with me, there's a booking link on my website. It's free. Just book a time. We could chat. If I can't help you, I may know somebody that could. So just reach out. It might be the best thing you do all day.
That's awesome. Listen, you're missing out. You're sleeping on social media, by the way. Okay, Hey, it's a kind of a danger zone, but at the same time, to use it to your advantage, it works really well. So, but with that being said, we're gonna wrap up this episode of Pete for Anxiety. Again, Morty, thanks so much for hanging out with me, man. I really do. I had a great time with you. This was great. I knew from the minute that we met, before we said hello to each other, this is going to be a fun time already, man. So I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. And with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap this episode of Pizza today. Like I said again, I'm going to repeat again because I've had so much caffeine this morning. It's okay. But anyways, it's my show. I'll do it how I want to do it. Anyways, you can find me on X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify all the way down to Pandora Radio. Yes, I'm everywhere like Visa, everywhere you want me to be. And as I always say, it costs nothing absolutely to be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do could save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete for Anxiety, signing off saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health today?